Hello, fellas and ladies. Okay. 2025 season. It has come and gone. Honora, our big winner. Congratulations, but guess what? You're done. You're over, Honora. Your time has passed. Hey! Hey! No! No! Quick side note, I just watched a TikTok where, like, with Big Justice and AJ, where all they're doing is walking with the Rizzler and his dad and Ken Jeong. And it's just like a solid minute of them just walking to Who Let the Dogs Out. That's the energy going into this new season. I will be doing my predictions for Best Picture for next year's Oscars, and these are the correct ones. I nailed it already. A couple of movies I will not be mentioning, just because I feel like they're coming out next year. Some are pretty obvious. The Odyssey, we all know that's next year. The Daniels is a new movie. The Spielberg UFO movie, that's next year. Jordan Peele's new movie is next year. I feel like you all knew that one. Some less obvious ones, something like Is This Thing On? The new Bradley Cooper movie with Will Arnett, I feel like that's next year. The Entertainment System is down. A really stacked cast. We recommend Ruben Ostlund. It sounds like a lot of fun, but I think I read somewhere that's 2026. Paper Tiger, the new James Gray movie. Wild Horse 9, the new movie from Martin McDonagh, which is definitely gonna happen just next year. Same thing with Judy, the new Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu movie with Tom Cruise. That is next. I think it was confirmed for next year. The Memory Police, a new movie written by Charlie Kaufman with Lily Gladstone in it, and then also Belly of the Beast with Ben Stiller and I believe Colin Farrell, directed by Andrew High. That's next year. One thing you're also gonna not hear from me is the phrase, this year's Top Gun Maverick. What the fuck? I don't know what the fuck that was. The balloons just showed up on my video recording software when I did this. Either way, I'm not going to try and predict a blockbuster in the vein of, like, Top Gun. I will not be considering Superman. I think it'll be really good, but, like, not like that. This is like text only, maybe visual effects, maybe score. That's it. Another one I hear some people throwing out there is Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. Guys, Lord of the Rings, like, going ham on its final one doesn't mean it's not because they loved that it was the last one. That's not how movies work. No, I do not think Mission Impossible is going to be a Best Picture thing. Some people are saying 28 years later. Fucking listen to yourself. All right, let's do it. Let's get to predicting. I have a lot of fucking movies going on here, and none of them are the Big Justice and AJ of TikTok where they're just walking for a solid minute with Ken Jeong. Start off with some easy ones, some obvious ones, some ones we can all practically agree on. One battle after another. The newest film from Paul Thomas Anderson with Leonardo DiCaprio, Regina Hall's in it, Sean Penn, a lot of Haim, Teyana Taylor's in it. Wood Harris is in it, Benicio del Toro is in it. I think it's pretty set in stone that Paul Thomas Anderson is in the position in his career where he makes a movie, he gets nominated for Best Picture. Like somewhere in between Inherent Vice and Phantom Thread, it happened. And this movie is like a big one. It's a really big scale from Warner Brothers. You got a lot of money to make this movie. You got a stacked cast. I couldn't really find a concrete plot, but I did find what is allegedly the book that this movie is based on. Vineland, a zone of blessed anarchy in Northern California, is the last refuge of hippiedom, a culture devastated by sobriety epidemic, Reaganomics, and the tube. Here in Orwellian 1984, Zoid Wheeler, I imagine Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and his daughter Prairie search for Prairie's long-lost mother, a 60s radical ran off with a narc. What reason is there to not predict this movie? I guess, some people saw, the genre, because it's being described as an action, comedy, crime, drama thriller, which, there's some scary words in there. It's not going to be Love Hurts. It's not going to be that kind of action movie. It seems obvious. I gotta predict it. At number one. Maybe this is when Paul Thomas Anderson finally wins. Leo looks like he's going to be pretty big. Maybe I've heard Sean Penn and Teyana Taylor. I know some people are hoping for Gina Hall. I've heard more Teyana Taylor. Hamnet, the newest film from Chloe Zhao, is at number 2. Hot off of Eternals, but mostly hot off of Nomadland, her Best Picture winner. Her first real movie after Nomadland. Eternals sucks, by the way. I feel like I should point that out. That movie's not good. The movie's based on a book that is really well received. It is a fictionalized account of Agnes Shakespeare, the wife of William Shakespeare, and the aftermath of the loss of their son. Movie stars Jessie Buckley as Agnes and Paul Mescal as William Shakespeare. I mean, those are 2 acting nominations, feel like, right off the bat, like, right? Also, it's produced by Steven Spielberg. There's a lot of nominations in this movie that seem pretty obvious. A lot of text, some acting, writing, maybe directing. I don't know if Chloe Zhao's guaranteed to get a directing nod, but I would do it. It's going to be a tearjerker. It might be slight, like most Chloe Zhao movies, but again, this is like, feels like an obvious, like, festival movie. Maybe honestly, it finished production in September. I don't think Cannes is up the table, although I am suspecting a Venice premiere, and then it goes to like TIFF, and then maybe New York and Telluride. I don't have any reason to believe Hamnet's not going to happen, and I also have no reason to believe Frankenstein's not going to happen. The newest film from Guillermo del Toro. We've got a stacked cast. Starring Oscar Isaac, starring Jacob Elordi as the monster, starring Mia Goth, starring Lars Mikkelsen, starring David Bradley, Christian Connery, Charles Dance, Christoph Waltz, Felix Kammerer. The movie's being described as like a sci-fi horror drama, but it's like, it's not gonna be like a horror. It's not gonna be like a legit horror movie. Like, it's not gonna be the fucking Babadook. It's always gonna be blended with like heart and like all that jazz. The biggest thing going Frankenstein is it's got like 5 nominations already sealed. Cinematography, sealed. Makeup, sealed. Production design, costume design. Okay, maybe 4, but I think score is also pretty sealed. And that's probably gonna get sound. I bet score is gonna bang. I think there's a lot going in for it, and then you got screenplay, possibly Oscar Isaac finally gets his Oscar nomination. I don't know if Jacob Elordi would get in for playing the monster, but I guess that's another possibility. Director, I mean, it's all there. It's clearly gonna be Netflix's big player. I don't know. It feels kind of obvious that this is going to happen. Like, it's going to be like, if you're like, oh, horror, though. It's like, it's Frankenstein, though. It's a known commodity. People are going to go see it. It also helps that Guillermo del Toro's confirmed that it's getting a theatrical release. So that is good. I think Marty Supreme is very clearly going to happen, personally. Let's talk about the movie first. It's directed by Josh Safdie, who also co-wrote it alongside Ronald Bronstein. He is one of the directors of Uncut Gems, one of my favorite movies. Now, you might be thinking, whoa, Buster. Uncut Gems? That movie did shit with the Oscars. To that I say, time has clearly done its thing, and, like, every time a thriller is made, the director will bend over backwards and go, oh, I was inspired by Uncut Gems. The industry has clearly, like, gone better with the Safdies. Now, another party might be thinking, well, why not go with the other Safdie brother, with Benny? His movie seems a little more Oscar-baited, which I will actually give it to you. And I will go further into when I get into The Smashing Machine, but I have a reason for not doing Smashing Machine. But although granted, part of that is because of how confident I am in Marty Supreme. Movie stars Timothy Chalamet, Gwyneth Paltrow, and granted a couple of other random people like Tyler the Creator and Kevin O'Leary and then Penn Jillette. A little random, but it's being described as like a mix of The Wolf of Wall Street and Catch Me If You Can. The movie A24 threw $75 million at this thing, and this movie's gonna be huge. Frankly, what got me to really be confident in this movie is the same thing that made me call The Brutalist before everyone else. Is it not abundantly clear that this is gonna be the biggest movie at the fall festivals? This is gonna be huge. Everyone's gonna go and see it. Everyone's gonna love it. Everyone's gonna be talking about it. It's gonna be huge in meme culture for sure, and that helps. It's very much like, being described as how, like, oh, Marty Reisman, I guess, or Marty Supreme. I guess Martin Reisman's guy it's based on. It's about him trying to achieve greatness. It feels not Oscar baity. It's not going to be Oscar baity. I think it's going to be a little wacky, but I think it's going to be obviously like a huge deal. Like, I don't think Marty Supreme's just going to be another like Safdie Brothers movie that gets ignored. The Roses. Now, Jay Roach, if for nothing else, recently has gotten his actors nominated. Bryan Cranston, the Bombshell Girls, which is funny because he's known for like comedies and goofy comedies, but this one I really want to look at. A comedy drama based on like a movie directed by Danny DeVito. It's being described as like a familial drama. This is the plot synopsis. Ivy and Theo, played by Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman, so that's something, picture a perfect couple who have successful careers, great kids, and an enviable sex life. But underneath the facade of the perfect family is a tinderbox of competition and resentments that's ignited when Theo's professional dreams come crashing down. There's definitely going to be something there. I feel like it's going to be stretched very wide. I feel it's going to be very funny. It's got a funny cast. Kate McKinnon's in it. Andy Samberg's in it. Nkuti Gatwa's in it. And it's also distributed by Searchlight. I'm not someone who, like, goes out of the way to predict the studio, but Searchlight is a bit of an exception. I do think there's clearly something there, and the biggest, flashing light for this movie is that it's written by Tony McNamara. Who's Tony McNamara? I'll tell you. He wrote the last two Yorgos Lanthimos movies, Poor Things and The Favorite. He clearly has a knack for funny crowd pleasers, and Jay Roach isn't a Yorgos Lanthimos, granted. It's not going to be very big in scale, but it could be, it could work. It could be like a Banshees of Inisherin kind of thing, where the scale is small, but it's it feels so big in its smallness. I think there's a lot going for this movie right off the bat. Acting nomination for Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman. I mean, come on. Screenplay, come on. Can we just those three in the picture? I think there's something there with the roses, very clearly, and I'm going with it. One thing I really want to look at is directors who have, not been in the zeitgeist and the Oscar scene before, who could, I don't want that to be an instant disqualification. Some people are looking a little deeper. Everyone's kind of looking at the Safdies. Some people look at Lynn Ramsey. I'll get to her. One person I'm looking at is Nia DaCosta. Ida is written and directed by Nia DaCosta. Nia DaCosta is a very good director who's had a couple of blunders recently, but this is her thing. This is her going on her own. This is going to be released by MGM. It's a drama based on a play called, I think with the same name. Gita Gabler navigates a house she does not want, a marriage she feels trapped in, an ex-lover who has reappeared in her life. I think this is a period piece, like a period piece. I'm thinking productions out of costumes that are going in for sure. And it shows Tessa Thompson. That's an actress I can see getting nominated. Hida feels really good for me. I really like the idea of Hida getting in. That feels right. That feels correct. Maybe Tom Bateman and Imogen Poots has some acting potential. Who knows? I like the vibe of this one. I'm feeling, that Telluride premiere followed by the TIFF, Canadian premiere is going to be real good. I'm really feeling good about Hida. I mean, I could be wrong. That's definitely my biggest, move, I guess, but I'm liking it. Begonia, the new film from Yorgos Lanthimos. Notably, he's not writing it, which is typically, when it comes to the Oscars, a green flag. Because when he's writing it, it's bonkers, weird, dark, very esoteric. This one's written by Will Tracy, who co-wrote The Menu. So I'm sensing some, very crowd-friendly, social commentary, because this movie is about two conspiracy-obsessed young men who are played by Jesse Plemons and I believe Stavros Haikas, who kidnaps a CEO of a major company convinced that she's an alien intending on destroying the planet. The CEO is played by Emma Stone. I'm sensing this is going to be, like Marty Supreme, a very buzzed about festival movie. Focus has this alongside Hamnet. So Focus is pretty stacked this year. I think Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone can get nominations out the window. Maybe Jesse Plemons can win, honestly. I feel like he's going to be pretty nutty in this movie. I am interested by the fact that it's been described as a sci-fi comedy based on its concept. I do wonder what Yorgos and Will Tracy got going on. But Yorgos is a very trusted commodity with the Oscar. Kinds of Kindness didn't do anything, but that was Kinds of Kindness. When he doesn't write it, I feel like there's something there. Although granted, this isn't Tony McNamara. He's doing the roses. I feel like there's something there. Again, it's going to be pretty buzzed about and talked about. So I am going to go with it. Catherine Bigelow political thriller. Should I be doing this? I wonder. Is this something I'm going to do? The Return of Catherine Bigelow. It's got a good cast. Got Idris Elba, Rebecca Ferguson, Greta Lee, Jared Harris, Gabriel Basso, Tracy Letts, Moses Ingram. Good cast. It's going to be released on Netflix and is being described as a political thriller that will follow how the White House responds to ballistic missiles being launched at the United States. Now, granted, that mixed with Netflix, that plot mixed with Netflix, sounds like another pretty bland Netflix thriller. But it's Catherine Bigelow, so we know it's not going to be that. We don't even got a title for it. We don't got a lot of information on this movie. We got nothing really to go off of with this movie. But it's Catherine Bigelow. We know that this is going to hit in some way. And to the point where I don't think it needs to be such a big player. I think it could be this number 8 player where it gets maybe some acting with Idris and Rebecca Ferguson, or maybe even Greta Lee. Get your sound nomination, get your writing nomination, maybe, Bigelow's in the peripheral for director. Who knows? Cinematography feels pretty good. I don't know. It can go very two ways, but I don't know. I feel like this is something. I think Catherine Bigelow having a comeback means a lot. The fact that it's going to be on Netflix kind of prevents a bomb label being put on it. Deliver Me From Nowhere. This is the Bruce Springsteen biopic. Yay, musical biopics! I am going to talk about the other musical biopic. Just give me a minute. This one's written and directed by Scott Cooper, which is not really a good, not a green flag, but I wouldn't classify him as totally red. It makes me think this movie's not just going to be some basic thing, which I think is a green flag. Jeremy Allen White is definitely getting nominated for playing Bruce Springsteen. He's not going to win. Don't try that fucking shit on me. He's not going to win. Playing Bruce Springsteen? No. But it's got a good cast. Jeremy Strong's in it. Paul Walter Hauser's in it. I think Jeremy Strong is looking good for another nomination. Here's why I'm liking the looks of it. Because I for one, this lineup feels a little too optimistic for me not to put this in. But here's why I'm liking the looks of it. It's being released by 20th Century. Mark Maron's in it. Gaby Hoffman's in it. So again, good cast. Being described as visionary musician Bruce Springsteen embarks on an emotional journey to record Nebraska. This isn't really womb to tomb. Granted, he's alive, so it can't be. This is going to be very, I don't know, it feels more focused than that of, another musical biopic. And again, Scott Cooper he doesn't have a perfect track record by any means. But I do think that I can trust him enough not to be Bohemian Rhapsody. And I think that is what we're looking for, really. Now we got Avatar, Fire and Ash. I did contemplate if this was inevitable or not. I do think that the hype for this movie is going to be a significant, downgrade. I do think the fact that, when Way of Water came out, it was very much, oh my god, Avatar's back after 13 years. I think that benefited Way of Water, that this one's going to be missing, but it's still going to make $1 billion. As voting for awards are happening for Globes and shit, this movie's going to be raking in billions. I mean, it's still going to get visual effects. It's probably still going to get sound and production design. And is that it? Is that every time an Avatar movie comes out? I mean, it's pretty obvious that these Avatar movies are going to start having diminishing returns, but if this movie's better than Way of Water, then I think a Best Picture nomination could just, happen. Maybe it does do exactly what Way of Water does. Who knows? Either way, it feels weird to not have Avatar in, so I'm just going to keep it in and see what happens. I don't know if Cameron would get director. But, this is the Fire one, so this, again, good technology. All right, right outside the 10, we have Michael, kind of an elephant in the room. For one, I think its release this year isn't guaranteed. It is going through some reshoots because of some legal issues. But I do think it does seem poised. I have heard that some of the reshoot stuff is a little, mangled. It's not nearly as, disastrous as we're hearing. That's it. What's the pros here? Michael. Gonna make a lot of money. Michael Jackson movie, come on. It's $1 billion is likely guaranteed. Enjoy Oppenheimer as the highest grossing biopic of all time while you can. One might say, well, the Bob Marley movie didn't do that well, and Bob Marley's also Dee. And I'm like, yes, he is, but now he ain't Michael Jackson. Now let's get to the cons. For one, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. This movie's not going to be good. This is not going to be a good movie. It's not going to be well received. It's just what level of not well received. I do think it can realistically survive a 50 on Rotten Tomatoes. I do think Antoine Fuqua is a red flag. I think its writer, John Logan, is a red flag. Look him up and you'll see why. The biggest thing going against this movie is that his estate is heavily involved. Motherfucker, he's being played by his nephew. It's gonna baby him like nothing. It's gonna be a controversy hotbed because of that. Coleman Domingo and Neil Long play his parents, and it's gonna be how they're gonna villainize them, and probably rightfully so. But when it comes to that stuff, the kid stuff with Michael Jackson, ooh-wee. And here's why I actually do think that might be an issue, or a point where I might feel untouchable. Because some might go, what about Emilia Perez? That was a controversy firestorm. Well, I would say Emilia Perez didn't really catch on in such a huge way until it became an awards thing. Michael is not going to have that luxury. It's coming out in early October. It's coming out not only in early October, but everyone's going to see it. It's not going to be Emilia Perez. It's going to be 3 solid months of people telling this movie to go fuck itself. Possibly 4 if it goes to festivals, which, judging by its release date, it might. This movie very much feels like a womb to tomb. The plot synopsis on TMDb is an in-depth portrayal of Michael Jackson, a complicated man who became the king of pop. The biopic will bring to life Jackson's most iconic performances as it gives an informed insight into the entertainer's artistic process and personal life. Yeah, this movie's gonna baby the shit out of Michael Jackson. It's gonna play the victim card in every turn, whether deserved or not. This movie is not going to be well received. That's the thing that people need to understand. There's no universe of this movie where everyone in the world watches and goes, you know what, that wasn't bad. I do think if it is a Best Picture thing, Coleman Domingo could win. Honestly, Jafar Jackson might win. Playing Michael Jackson is not nothing, although it is his first movie ever, and it is Michael Jackson's nephew. This movie's undeniably going to be an elephant in the room no matter what, so fucking be prepared. The whole stuff with the kid that, the reason there's so many reshoots because, the movie has such a heavy focus on, a kid who accused Michael Jackson of, and, for legal reasons, the Michael Jackson's estate can't portray that on film. I guess they just forgot. It's a pretty big thing to forget. But yeah, we now know they're addressing it. And yes, it's going to be in a very, happy to Michael way, but, It's there, and I do think, while there is a very obvious world where it's like, hey, it made $1 billion, it gets in. That's obviously possible. I get that. That is not blind to me. But I do think that there is gonna be a lot of folk who are just like very put off by it. Let's go with The Life of Chuck. I've seen this movie. I'm better than you. It won the TIFF People's Choice. That's a lot of people's green light to go with it. It is distributed by Neon, which some people are thinking is like oh, that means you have to predict it now. I'm not there with Neon. They've missed a couple times in recent years too. They didn't get anything in 22. Oh, that's what Triangle Silence got in 2021. They didn't get anything. 2020 they didn't get anything. And you might be thinking, well, hold on, they're gonna get the Cannes winner, the Palm winner. Let's cross that bridge when we get there, okay? Life of Chuck is, in my opinion, very likely to get in. It's a very big crowd pleaser with a really stacked cast. Mark Hamill could get in. I think Mike Flanagan could get a screenplay nomination. My biggest thing is that's kind of it. I don't think Tom Hiddleston would happen. I don't really think this... Maybe score, actually. The score is really good. Maybe editing and this new casting award. The cast is stacked. Maybe... yeah, okay, fine. Okay, there's actually a haul here, but not a great one. I don't know. My thing is, I think it coming out in the summer is actually a good thing, because it's such a summer movie. But I do wonder, is it gonna maintain the hype all year round? I don't know. I think it's possible. It's a very clear crowd pleaser, and I do think it's gonna do good at the box office. I just wonder if the passion's gonna be there. That's all it is. I definitely buy it. I got 11 others, really. Wicked for Good. Here we go. Why doesn't he have Wicked in, you all say? I thought about it. I have a hot take. For one, I think no matter what happens, it's going to do worse than the first one. I think some things are pretty guaranteed to not happen this time. I don't think it's going to get editing. I don't think it's going to get score. Although it does have original songs this time around, so that could counteract that. I don't know. Maybe it won't get makeup. Maybe the actors won't get in. Although Cynthia, I heard, actually... legitimately has realistic win potential. I know some people go, but it's the conclusion. Fuck you, don't care. There's two major reasons I decided not to go with it, although I could be completely wrong. Actually, I'm gonna say 3 reasons. One of them is that unless it does a festival run, which I find highly unlikely, it's gonna be premiering around the same time as Avatar, and good luck with that. Good luck with maintaining that level of attention when Avatar is right there. It's gonna do well with Globes and possibly Critics' Choice, so that is something. I can definitely say that. Another thing is, I've heard the second half is the weak part. I don't think people are gonna be as rah-rah about it, although it is gonna be darker, so that could also be a plus. My big thing is, we just got the first one, a couple months ago, and we're already about to get the second half. In terms of release, that's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of Oscars, you don't think voters are going to have a little bit of a we just did this mentality? I do think it matters that it just happened. I do think it matters that, some people are still a little bit hostile towards it, although clearly those people aren't in the Academy. I definitely buy it. I definitely buy it's possible, but there is some stuff holding me back. After the Hunt, the new film from Luca Guadagnino, stars Julia Roberts, Iowa DeBerry, Andrew Garfield, Michael Stuhlbarg. Good cast. It's been described as a thriller, which is a scary word, but let's keep going. Plot: a college professor finds herself at a personal and professional crossroads, but a star pupil, probably Iowa DeBerry, levels an accusation against one of her colleagues, and a dark secret from her own past threatens to come to light. The biggest thing going for this movie is that I hear that Julia Roberts could be really looking at not only a nomination, but a win. That could push it over the edge into the picture lineup, and I've heard the movie is kind of the script is pretty fantastic. I honestly would put it in. It kind of is kind of a numbers game, honestly, with this film. I've overestimated Luke in the past, but I am predicting Julia Roberts, and maybe Iowa DeBerry even has a really good shot to be nominated. Andrew Garfield as well. Does it get much after that? I'm not sure. I'm sure Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are doing the score again. I don't know. We'll have to see with After the Hunt. It's just, again, a lot of these I want to put in. It's just a numbers game. Same goes for Ann Lee, the new movie directed by Mona Fastfold. It's written by her and Brady Corbet. The two also wrote The Brutalist together. This is a historical musical. I'm sure it's going to be pretty, ambitious. It's going to probably go to the festivals without a distributor once again. The movie's cast is fantastic. We got Amanda Seyfried in the lead role. We also got Thomas and Mackenzie. We got Lewis Pullman, Christopher Abbott, Tim Blake Nelson, Stacey Martin. Really good cast. Again, I want to put this in. I really do buy it. Again, numbers. Neon or A24 are going to pick this up. No brainer there. It's got a lot of nominations that could happen. Again, I don't have room for everything, but I do believe in Antley big time. The Smashing Machine. I think a lot of people agree with the elephant in this movie, and that is Dwayne Johnson. His big dramatic A24 movie, like that's huge, directed by Benny Safdie. I do think if Dwayne Johnson and this movie are in, like, Timothy Chalamet better fucking start pissing himself. This is a biopic. That Dwayne Johnson, like, I mean, you look at the picture, he's unrecognizable. About a real MMA fighter named Mark Kerr. I've heard, like, from tests that, like, I don't really take these, like, with that seriously. But I've heard, like, he is very good, although the movie is, like, great, yes, but, like, not, like breathtaking. That said, I mean, it's very clear how this could go right. And I think, that, again, this is going to be a pretty buzzed about movie. For Dwayne Johnson alone, like, that cannot be ignored. Maybe Dwayne Johnson gets in and the movie doesn't. That's entirely possible. We'll see. I'm going to be saying we'll see a lot from here on out. There's still like 80 movies to get through. I've been recording for 40 minutes. Yay! Ella McKay, the new film from James L. Brooks. Very stacked cast. Emma Mackey, Woody Harrelson, Spike Fern, Ayoade Berry, Kumail Nanjiani, Jamie Lee Curtis, another nom for her. The plot of this movie gives me hope. An idealistic young politician juggles familial issues and a challenging work life while preparing to take over the job of her mentor, the state's longtime incumbent governor. I feel like that's a very obvious crowd pleaser right there, a big TIFF winner, if you will. A lot of it is kind of wondering who's going to win TIFF, and based on my 10, I don't really have a concrete answer. Maybe it's the Roses. The Roses could win. That could be something. But it also could be Ella McKay. I think there's something there with Ella McKay. Like, there's a very obvious, like, underdog story with Emma Mackey's character. So that's something there. I will say the biggest thing is that James L. Brooks hasn't really made, like, a banger in a while. But, hey, you know what? You never say never. Sentimental value. I feel like some of you want me to put this higher, and I did have it higher for a little bit. I do believe in it. But let me tell you what stopped me. So for one, it's an English language movie from Joachim Trier, who is hot off of The Worst Person in the World. This is obviously catching everyone's attention because, you know, he's hot off of Worst Person in the World, and he's reuniting with Renata Reinsve. The movie also stars Anders Danielsen Lie, although I heard that role is very minimal. If you're gonna predict acting for this, you gotta want to go Renata, Stellan Skarsgård, and potentially Elle Fanning. It's got a good cast. Nora, who I imagine is playing Renata Reinsve, is an actor, and her sister Agnes are grieving the loss of their mother when their father Gustav reappears in their lives after a long absence. There's a lot there. It's definitely work. If it works, it goes to Cannes, it fucking blows up. We got something. It's by Neon too. If this movie hits in the same way Worst Person in the World hits, I think that they'll be more open to it this time. That said, I don't think it's, like, obvious that this movie's gonna hit like Worst Person in the World did. I do think people need to understand that while Joachim Trier is a very well-regarded director, Worst Person in the World was a bit of a career high. I don't think it's, like, obvious that this is gonna be a Worst Person in the World again, but it is possible. And if it does, we can come back. I just don't think it's that, like, rock solid. It's gonna be an incredible movie. Like, it could be. I would not be that surprised. This movie was like in the 70s Rotten Tomatoes. The drama. Here's one I want to talk about. The movie is directed by Christopher Borghilli, director of Dream Scenario. Wait a minute, that movie's weird. You were saying right now. Hold on. Movie stars Zendaya, Robert Pattinson. All right, we're getting somewhere. Alana Haim is also in it, I believe. From A24, it's described as a comedy drama. Here's the plot. A couple, in the days leading up to the wedding, faces a crisis when unexpected revelations derail what one of them thought they knew about the other. I do believe that there is something here. There could not be. It could just be like a low-key comedy drama from A24. That's possible. With, like, two huge names. But there is, I do think that there, you know, if we're doing this theme of, like, who wasn't an Oscar darling in the past can be now, I don't think Christopher Borghilli makes that much sense to be that guy. He's not Sean Baker, but, you know, who knows? Maybe he does kind of follow a Crow Life for Shop thing where you know, they both only really had one big thing. Zendaya, Robert Pattinson could be Oscar nominees, but for this, I think, you know, Oscars would be down for that. I think it just needs to land. It just needs to land, and I think it could be big. I just need to see what this movie is. I like the vibe of it. I don't think it's gonna be weird. Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. You might be thinking, top 20? What? It's going to be in the top 20 at the end of the year. We know that for a fact. Now, is there any proof this is going to be anything more than screenplay? Of course not. Like most of the Knives Out movies, like one of Rian Johnson's Knives Out movies, it's, you know, it's got a really stacked cast. Josh O'Connor's in it, Glenn Close is in it, Mila Kunis is in it, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Kelly Spaney. You know, good cast. It's going to go to TIFF, we know that. Here's where I'm, like, actually looking at it a little closer. For one, the photos they released, Daniel Craig looks to be going a little meatier than before. Like, this guy looks, like, ragged. So that tells me something. Maybe the vibe of this movie is a little more Oscar-y, I guess? Like, maybe there's something deeper to this movie. Although, and more likely than not, it's going to be another really fun movie that I can't wait for. That's going to get PGA and, you know, Globes and all that shit. But, like, maybe not the Oscar. If it can get SAG Ensemble this time, we'll talk. Battle of a Small Player, the next movie by Edward Berger. You might be going, well, hold on, Berger's not getting in every time. This one starts Colin Farrell until the Swin. Okay, good start. Psychological thriller. Sure. Studio Netflix. Fine. High-stakes gambler decides to lay low in Macau after his past and debts catch up with him. Along the way, he encounters a kindred spirit who might just hold the key to his salvation. There it is. I don't think this movie's gonna be like Oscar bait. I think that's what gets Edward Berger in. The writer is not necessarily a red flag, but not the greenest flag in the world. Rowan Jaffe. I think that this movie is gonna be when Berger's streak ends. Although, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Again, a lot of these kind of depend on the movie itself, which might make you be, why are you even doing this at all? To that I say, because it's fun. Because I like having fun. Highest to Lowest, another one you guys might have higher, the newest Spike Lee film. The movie is led by A$AP Rocky, not Denzel, although Denzel is in it. Jeffrey Wright's in it. Ice Spice is in it. It's being described as like a crime thriller drama, so that's not great. It's based on a Kurosawa movie, so that's something. Again, my thing with this is, Black Klansman was like the perfect blend of Spike's sensibilities and like, fucking like mainstream appeal, and maybe this has that. You never know, but the fact that A$AP Rocky is the lead kind of tells me that this is like vintage Spike Lee, which I can't wait for, but it doesn't really lend well to an Oscar nomination. It's possible the Black Klansman was like, a one-off shoot thing. I'd be shocked if it didn't go to Cannes, so we'll find out sooner. Jay Kelly, the new film from Noah Baumbach. Fantastic cast. You got George Clooney, Adam Sandler, Laura Dern, Greta Gerwig, Billy Crudup, Riley Keough, Emily Mortimer, who's also writing the script with Baumbach. Described as a coming-of-age comedy about adults. I don't want to fall into the trap of constantly predicting Baumbach because of Marriage Story, but I do think what it has going for this is that I think George Clooney and Adam Sandler in particular are looking like really good for their acting nominations. That's looking pretty solid. Okay, well, not solid, you know what I mean. Like, it looks fairly likely. The vibe I get from the movie, though, is that, like, it's just them. Like, it's just Clooney and Sandler. Again, it's gonna do a festival run. I thought it was gonna come out in the summer for some reason. I had nothing to base that off of. I just assumed. But I get the vibe that this is gonna be, light. It's gonna be low key. It's not gonna be Marriage Story. Even White Noise. Like, it's not gonna be White Noise. We know that. But I also don't think it's gonna be like so devastating like Marriage Story. So I can't really put myself to predict Jay Kelly. Roof Man, the new film from Derek Cianfrance. Got a really good cast. Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst, Peter Dinklage, Juno Temple, Uzo Aduba, Ben Mendelsohn, Lakeith Stanfield. Good cast. It's been described as a crime drama. Scary. Let's keep going. I think it's possibly going to be distributed by Paramount, so there's something else. I think this is a true story, and this is the plot. Jeffrey Manchester, who I believe is Channing Tatum's character, an inmate on the run, hides in a place no one would look for him, a Toys R Us. When, just bullying with the fucking giraffe guy. When his paradise of fun becomes a prison of loneliness, he falls for the one thing that can stop him from getting away. Love. Now here's what's going for it. Channing Tatum. I think I'm with a lot of people are thinking the same thing, that Channing Tatum, best actor? Maybe, who knows? It looks like it's gonna be like his best role. He's clearly gonna have a lot to chew on here. And Derek Cianfrance knows how to get a performance. He hasn't been like on his A game recently, but this could be a return to form. It's got an interesting plot. It's got an interesting concept. But I do think it's going to be a buzz about festival title. So I'm actually looking at Roofman like going, Like, I'm liking the look of Roofman. F1, the new film from Joseph Kosinski, director of Top Gun Maverick. It's a racing movie with Brad Pitt. Carrie Condon's in it. Javier Bardem, Tobias Menzies, good cat. Shea Wingham. Oh my god. It's produced by Warner Brothers and Apple. Basically, it's going to be released by Warner Brothers in theaters, but it's going to be streaming on Apple in like 40 days. So that actually I think is a plus. Watch in theaters, then have like the whole Q4 to watch on Apple. I think that's a plus. It looks awesome. It looks like a really great like racing, like blood pumping movie. I just wonder if how much money it's gonna make. Possibly a lot, possibly not much. I mean, it's clearly gonna be a crowd pleaser, so that helps. So there's something there. There's clearly text there. Frankly, I'm really taking like the top like 40, maybe even 50 seriously. Like, there's a lot I'm taking very seriously. F1 is one of them. It looks like there's something there. My thing is, I think Nam Hall isn't like extremely good for this kind of movie. Granted, either was Top Gun Mavericks, but like, I don't know, Top Gun Maverick was too big to ignore. I don't know if that's gonna be this. Like, what's F1's haul realistically? Like, would it get screenplay director? I don't know, probably not, maybe. But Maverick got it. Shut up, not the same thing. Sound might get in with it without picture. Like, that feels like a lock, actually. Would it get visual effects? A lot of it seems practical. I don't know, maybe score? I'm fucking, you see what I mean? Sinners, maybe too high for some, but not for this guy. The new film from Ryan Coogler. Here's the thing that's going for this movie. It looks incredible. It looks insanely fucking good. Dual role for Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld's in it, Delroy Lindo's in it. It is a horror movie though. Ugh. But it's clearly going to be about something, so that helps, I feel like. And, like, if it does happen, I think, or even if it doesn't happen, maybe it gets, like, a Nosferatu package, or it's, like, some texts are just too good to ignore. The cinematography looks like it's going to happen. That all said, you know, it is a horror movie coming out in April. Not a great sign. I think we're all going to like it a lot. It needs to do unbelievable gangbusters at the box office, which it could. It has the vibe of a really good box office run. I don't think I need to defend myself, actually. I feel like everyone thinks I have this too high. But I feel like there's something there with Sinners, because it's clearly about something. And Ryan Coogler's first, like, original film in a while, like, since Fruitvale Station. That means something to me. Sorry Baby, the film that went to Sundance. I'll be brief, because I don't think there's, like, a lot to dissect here. It was apparently one of the big, I think it was arguably the buzziest film at Sundance this year. The writing, directing, and acting debut of Eva Victor. This movie looks like a very obvious, like, picture screenplay kind of movie. Maybe a screenplay with it without picture. Got a good cast, actually. I'm looking at it now. Naomi Ackie, who's having a good, you know, run. Lucas Hedges, John Carroll Lynch. You know, okay, good cast. Got a good subject. It's about a college professor recovering from a sexual assault. I've heard the writing is, like, the highlight of this movie. But I do think it needs to, like, make waves. Pressure. This is directed by Anthony Maris, who, you know, is not really a name. The cast is what's selling this movie. So it's a Focus Features war movie starring Andrew Scott and Brendan Fraser as Eisenhower. Kerry Condon's also in it. In the final days before the planned Allied invasion of Europe in 1944, Royal Air Force meteorologist James Stagg, played by Andrew Scott, must deliver a weather report to Allied High Command determining the feasibility of the planned D-Day. So it's clearly a ticking time bomb movie. There's clearly going to be some Oscar bait in there. Pretty obvious. Maybe some nomination for Andrew Scott and Brendan Fraser. The texts are there. Like, it's very obvious where this could go right, but it's also very obvious where it can go wrong because it seems like Oscar bait. Which some people say, well, that's good, right? Sometimes. I think when you're trying to be Oscar bait, it doesn't work. This director doesn't seem very, like, the best. But there's clearly something there. Maybe it's just acting and, like, text. But, like, how would that not be enough? Eleanor the Great, the directorial debut of Scarlett Johansson. This is catching on to people, actually. Because it's rumored heavily that it's going to Cannes. So we'll find out very soon. I like the cast. It's starring June Squibb, which some people are wondering this could be her Oscar, and I'm wondering the same thing. A 9-year-old Floridian woman strikes up an unlikely friendship with a 19-year-old student in New York City. It sounds like a comedy, but it's being described everywhere as a drama. And it's being distributed by Sony? Wait, just Sony? SBC. Okay, I thought so. SBC is the distributor. Maybe this premieres at Cannes. It charms the shit out of everyone. Goes to the festival, the fall festivals, charms the shit out of everyone once again. There's something there. I think we all can do it. It just seems very slight, very obviously a low nomination haul. But if June Squibb really is so good that she's in the winning conversation, maybe you can go further. Train Dreams, which also went to Sundance to raves, directed by Clint Bentley and written by him and Greg Cuidar. Another thing where, like, one of last year's biggest films, it's co-written by two people. One of them was director of one of last year's movies, and now now the co-writer's directing this one. I have brain damage. What the fuck did I just say? Clint Bentley and Greg Quidar co-wrote this and Sing Sing. Greg Quidar directed Sing Sing. Clint Bentley is directing this one, similar to how this situation with The Brutalist and Ann Lee. That's what I was trying to say. It's got a good cast. Joel Edgerton, which I'm hearing fantastic things about. He might be a thing. It's got a really nice Netflix, grab. I've heard pretty excellent stuff about it, but I've also heard comparisons to Terrence Malick movies, which I love that, but maybe not to an Oscars degree. But I heard this movie has such a obvious tearjerker personality to it that you kind of have to, unless it's just underseen, which I feel is likely. But I'll take a look at it. Death of Robin Hood. Here's one that I have that no one else does, or at least is high. This is the new film from Michael Sarnowski. It's A24. It stars Hugh Jackman, Jodie Comer, Bill Skarsgård, Murray Bartlett, Noah Jupe. It's described as an adventure drama. And here's the plot. Here's what caught my eye. A darker reimagining of the classic Robin Hood tale, which will see the character as a battle-worn loner grappling with his past after a life of crime and murder, and who finds himself gravely injured in the hands of a mysterious woman, probably Jodie Comer, who offers him a chance at salvation. It sounds really interesting. Michael Sarnowski knows how to tug at the heartstrings, so I think a scale like this, a title like this, a cast like this could catch on and catch people's hearts. I do think there's something there. There's text, there's, potential for writing and directing, for acting. I'm looking at this. No one else is, but I am. It looks something. It looks like something, and I'm excited for it. I would tell you that much. And I'm not even a Hugh Jackman fan. Hugh Jackman's on my shit list, and everyone knows why. I mean, if Instagram was an adventure movie, definitely is, but hey, I think it sounds like it could be very interesting and stand out amongst a crowd, which is what you need to do. The Secret Agent. I like the look at this one, not because of anything else other than the fact that it could be an Oscar vehicle for Wagner Moura. Written and directed by Kleber Mandoka Filho. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And I'm Still Here, it focuses on the Brazilian military dictatorship in the 70s. Now, are we going to get 2 movies in a row dealing with that subject? Probably not. But I do want to look at it. It is probably going to Cannes. And again, Wagner Moura, who knows? The thing, is that I'm Still Here just happened dealing with this subject, and it dealt with it on a very human, beautiful level. Where this one feels a little more dark. We'll see what happens when we get probable reactions out of Cannes, but I like the sound of The Secret Agent. Rosemead. This is too high. Too late. Directed by Eric Lin, written by Marilyn Fu. Who cares? Based on a true story that took place in the San Gabriel Valley, the film follows an immigrant mother with a terminal cancer who takes desperate measures to help her unstable teenage son as she's uncovering his growing obsession with mass shootings. A lot of boxes being checked right there, wouldn't you say? Now, typically I'd be like, who cares? But what has caught some attention is that this could be an Oscar vehicle for Lucy Liu. She is playing the mother, and that could be something. I feel like she's gonna get hype no matter what. Whether or not that actually manifests anything, who knows? But it's got an Oscar bait concept, and possibly an Oscar bait narrative for its lead. So there's definitely something. I'm not gonna go that far over just an acting hunch that I'm not even going with. But I think that it goes to the festivals, catches a win for Lucy Liu, we can go somewhere. The History of Sound, a film probably going to Cannes. Directed by Oliver Hermanis, who, if you're a fan of mine, you know him as director of Living, which, whatever, who cares, but let's keep digging. I mean, he does have a clear, I don't love Living, but he does have a very obvious, visual eye. So does Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor. Doesn't have a studio yet. It's described as a romantic war drama about 2 young men during the First World War set out to record the live voices and music of American countrymen. And then they, pipe each other's buttholes. Seems like pretty sappy Oscar bait. And I do think Oliver Hermanis, not having the, it lacking the Ishiguro of it all, the Kurosawa of it all, the Bill Nye of it all, definitely makes this less appealing than Living. Although this does sound like Oscar bait. And again, it's going to Cannes. I think there's going to be something to this movie, and maybe its actors can get some recognition. I don't know, it sounds plausible. A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey, directed by Kogonada and written by Seth Reese, who I believe was a co-writer on The Menu, actually. Stars Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. Being described as a romantic fantasy film, released by Sony. An imaginative tale of 2 strangers, I imagine Farrell and Robbie, and the extraordinary emotional journey that connects them. So when I first was looking into this, I was like, ooh, maybe there's something there. Then I saw it was coming out in May, and I went, ooh. But Plot twist, it's now been moved to September. So I'm back to going, ooh, because now it's probably going to go to Venice and TIFF. It's got 2 movie stars in it. That's a plus. Kogonada doesn't make like mainstream films, but this feels like it's going to be like his most mainstream title yet. I do wonder about this one. I do think it needs to check some boxes. It needs to stand out, which it will do, but it needs to connect to everyone, which isn't a guarantee. The Way of the Wind. Here we go. For the record, I have nothing to go off of that's actually coming out this year. Like, it might still be the editing jungle, like, until, like, next year. Who knows? There's a new Terrence Malick movie that he's filmed, like, in 2019, but he had, like, 3,000 hours of footage. It's a biblical epic, a dramatization of several episodes in the life of Jesus. Matthias Schoenaerts is in it. Mark Rylance playing Satan. This movie is, like, gonna be fucking awesome. I can't wait, but, like, is it gonna be the Oscars thing? I think if it, like, comes out and it's, like, a huge deal, maybe the Oscars can't deny it. They've went with Terrence in the past, but, like, Tree of Life is, like, a masterpiece. I think that, a movie about Jesus is probably not gonna happen, but I do think if it wasn't, like, a Terrence Malick epic, then, like, I would, I'd be throwing in the trash, but, like, I think that the fact that it is a Terrence Malick epic, it tells me something. The Governesses, here's one that stuck out to me. Written and directed by Joe Talbot. Also written by Olivia Atwood. Stars Lily Rose Depp, Ho Yun, and Renata Reinsve. It is being streamed by A24. It's about 3 rebellious governesses who upend the household they work in, inspiring the minds of the males in their care, igniting their imaginations of the bohemian couple who employ them, and abandoning their charges for erotic adventures. That last part definitely threw me off, but I mean, clearly there's something there. There's some Oscar bait in there, but also not. It's kind of like in a brutalist kind of way where the plot is Oscar bait, but the movie's not going to be Oscar bait because that's not who the director is. Again, I want to see what happens with this one. There's something there. I swear to God. Same go with the Phoenician Scheme. I think we're past Wes Anderson and the Oscars. I think Wes Anderson just has a lot of things he needs to tweak in order for him to come back. I know he just won for a short film, but you fucking know why that's different. Once again, we got a stacked cast. Benicio del Toro, who I heard is like the lead, like he in a Ray Fiennes and Grand Budapest Hotel kind of way, so that helps. Michael Cera's in it, Bill Murray, Riz Ahmed, Tom Hanks, Benedict Cumberbatch, Scarlett Johansson, Charlotte Gainsbourg, Rupert Friend, Willem Dafoe, Bryan Cranston, Mia Thrapple, huh? Another stacked cast. This is being Stravos got an espionage comedy. And it's coming out like really soon. So it's going to go to Cannes and then come out right after. Again, I think Grand Budapest was a little bit of a, a happy accident. Like, that movie was just too good to ignore. I don't think this is going to be that, although I'm definitely not opposed to it. Again, this being an espionage movie doesn't help. This is a new edition, a last-minute edition, The Rivals of Amzia King. It just premiered at South by Southwest to rave reviews. It's directed by and written by Andrew Pattinson, who he directed I think it was The Vast of Night, which I heard was really good. Matthew McConaughey is in it, alongside someone named Angelina Lookingglass, who I hear is a real standout. Also stars Kurt Russell, Cole Sprouse, Owen Teague, Scott Shepard, Rob Morgan, Tony Revolori. I don't ever know how to pronounce his name. It's being described as a crime thriller, which isn't great, but I'm hearing only the phrase crowd pleaser, which is great. I usually ignore South by Southwest premieres, but this one caught my eye with how like clearly Oscar-y it is. I want to see how much further it goes. I want to see what else happens to this movie. I want to see like what its reviews actually look like, not just Twitter reactions. But I'm excited for it. Mother Mary, the new film from David Lowery, which is typically a red flag. But again, look what happened last year. This movie is being described as like epic melodrama. The movie stars Anne Hathaway and Michaela Cole, who I believe are a couple. One is a pop star, one's a fashion designer, which means best costume design, who knows? Is this David Lowery's ticket to the Oscars? Possibly. And I think that, again, going to the festivals and becoming a standout matters. And I think that if this movie's not like out there like his other movies, which I have nothing to base that off, then we could be looking at stuff. That said, I feel like I have no reason right now to believe that David Lowery isn't doing what he typically does, which I can't wait for. But, not really an Oscar thing. Materialist, the new film from Celine Song after Past Lives. You might be thinking, why isn't this higher? Actually, I feel like most of you have caught on that this might not be it. Got a good cast, Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, Pedro Pascal, but it's being heavily described as a rom-com. In fact, I've actually heard some like stuff that suggests it may not be very good. It's coming out pretty soon, probably going to Cannes, in my opinion. So we'll see, but I'm not that like hopeful. Die My Love at 42. Here's one you probably want me to talk about. Look, listen, I know what I'm saying this whole time, and I do agree that Lynn Ramsey could be that. In fact, I was open to it. The Lynn Ramsey could be a Sean Baker-esque figure who wasn't embraced by the Academy and then randomly is. It's got a good cast. Jennifer Lawrence is in it, Robert Pattinson, Lakeith Stanfield, Nick Nolte, Sissy Spacek. Being described as a horror comedy. A woman living in a remote rural area is driven to the brink of insanity by marriage and motherhood. I looked into the book this is based on, and like, I'm not really getting us, a vibe that it's going to be like unanimous. That's what has to happen for Lynn Ramsey to get in. It has to be unanimous. Like everyone agrees that this movie is exceptional. I think it's going to be really good. I'm excited for it, but I don't think it's going to be such a unanimous, obvious fucking hit. It doesn't even have to be a crowd pleaser. Of course not. It just has to be like too many people think it's too good to ignore. And I don't think that's going to be the case with Die My Love, which is why I'm not going to go with it. The Last Disturbance of Madeline Hind, the new film from Kenneth Branagh. Jodie Comer is in it, and so is Patricia Arquette. There's no plot details, and it's being described as a psychological thriller. Kenneth Branagh is very much a whatever, who fucking cares director. Belfast kind of was just a movie that hit the right notes, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that this does not do it. No Other Choice, a new Park Chan-wook movie. Some people have a lot of high hopes for it. I'm hella excited to see it. But Oscar-wise, I don't see any reason why... Like, this looks like another genre Park Chan-wook movie. And I don't see it being, like, just so good that everyone agrees. Like, Decision to Leave was a unanimously agreed, like, amazing movie. But I also, like, knew seeing it. I'm like, that's not going to be a Best Picture thing. I don't see what this is different. If it seems like I'm zooming through these, it's because, frankly, everything else... I'm not, like, totally, like, I don't really see that much of a case for, but I want to mention it. Late Fame is written by Sammy Birch. So that is something. So it's Willem Dafoe and Greta Lee about a motherfucker named Ed Saxberger, who is played by Willem Dafoe, who, wrote poetry, and no one gave a fuck. And then Greta Lee's character comes in and saves him, I guess. It could be something. Maybe Willem Dafoe and Greta Lee get some nominations. Sammy Birch. I know. I need to see, like, what's going on. What the tone of this movie is. Right now I got nothing. Nouvelle Vague, the new one of two films coming out this year by Richard Linklater. This one's about the filming of the movie Breathless, and Zoe Deutsch plays Jean Seberg. This movie's in French, and it's likely going to go to Cannes. To me, this kind of looks like only a vehicle for Zoe Deutsch. I don't really have much reason at this moment in time to believe this is anything more. The Wave, the new film from Sebastian Lelio. This could be something, actually. Described as a musical drama about a Chilean student who gets involved in a feminist movement on her university. Sebastian Lelio does feel like one of those directors where, like, maybe it's time. I'm not going to be trying to find out what the international movie is, because I'll never know what it is. The closest I ever got was I thought Zone of Interest could be something back in this time in 2023. Other than that, I didn't know what Anatomy of a Fall was. I knew what Emilia Perez was. I was like, never. I'm not going to try and guess it, but if it was one, I honestly think it would be this one. I know I had Park Chan-wook's movie higher, but I don't know why, in hindsight. Huntington, the new John Patton Ford movie with Glenn Powell, Margaret Qualley, Ed Harris, Jessica Henwick. I've heard some pretty solid things out of test screenings, but this doesn't really feel like something they would jump to. Like, it's being described as a revenge thriller. That's not, I can't wait though. The Chronology of Water, the directorial debut of Kristen Stewart. This one's interesting. It's gonna be going to festivals likely, and it's probably gonna catch some noise. Probably gonna go to Telluride. It's about a lifelong swimmer turned artist exploring the issues of sexuality, grief, and addiction. I believe Imogen Poots is the lead. I don't think Kristen Stewart directing and writing it really elevates it in the same way. I didn't think Scarlett Johansson elevated the fact that Eleanor the Great is a thing, but I do think the movie is a little bit more to it than the fact that Scarlett Johansson's doing it. Whereas I don't think I'd be mentioning this movie that Kristen Stewart didn't do it. Blue Moon, a movie I would have much higher, but it has premiered at Berlin and the reviews are good, but it's just not that. Usually when you premiere early, you gotta make a huge splash, and this just didn't do it. I mean, it's got a really stacked cast. It's the second movie of Richard Linklater. Ethan Hawke, Mark Qualley, Bobby Cannavale, Andrew Scott. It's a biopic. The first night of the play Oklahoma. Like, there's something there. It's just again, nobody gave a fuck. it premiered and nobody cares. Eddington, the new movie from Ari Aster. It's got another stacked cast: Joaquin Phoenix, Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone, Austin Butler. It's not even being described as a horror movie. Actually, it's being described as a black comedy modern western. I think Ari Aster is one of those directors who has it in him, and it's going to go to Cannes, likely, and it's set to release in the summer. So if it makes a huge splash, then maybe. Again, Ari Aster, that's not someone you want to predict until you're safe to do it. I also don't know if people want to go near Joaquin Phoenix right now, still. Rental Family, directed by Hikari, who not only directed a few episodes of Beef, but also a movie I really like called 37 Seconds. She's a great director, so that I'm actually really excited for this movie. And it also is a bonus that it stars my king, Brendan Fraser. He's a lead. He's playing an actor who lives in Tokyo and is hired as like the token American guy for a Japanese rental family company. I actually really think it's going to be a very good movie. In fact, I might toy with putting it higher. This could really hit, but I feel like it'll be slight, like too slight with the Academy, which is why I'm not going to go with it. But I don't know, maybe Brendan Fraser gets some hype. I like to see Hikari get some hype as well. Clara and the Sun, the new film from Taika Waititi, starring Jenna Ortega and Amy Adams. Based on an Ishiguro novel, so there's definitely something there. It's a very sci-fi, like serious sci-fi movie. It's not written by Taika Waititi, so I don't know if that helps, because I don't think it's going to be a goofy comedy. It's going to be like a serious sci-fi movie. I don't still think Taika Waititi's up to like this philosophical thing. So I'm curious what this is going to be. I feel like this is going to be too mainstream when it should be a little deeper. Warfare, the new Alex Garland movie with a really stacked cast. Farrah Wunatai, Will Poulter, Cosmo Jarvis, Kit Connor, Noah Centineo, fuck, never mind, Joseph Quinn, Charles Melton. It's directed by Alex Garland, but also written and co-directed by Ray Mendoza, and this is about his experience in the Iraq War. The trailer really just makes it look like, Iraq. It looks like just a war movie. It looks like a plotless war movie, and I'm sure the movie will have more to it than that, but I don't think it'll have enough to go this length. I Love Boosters, one of my most anticipated movies of the year, written and directed by Boots Riley with a stacked cast. Keke Palmer, Naomi Ackie, Lakeith Stanfield, Demi Moore, hot off of her Oscar train. Well, Poulter's in it, Taylor Page is in it, Isaac Gonzalez, Papi Liu, great cast. It's being distributed by Neon, and it's a crime comedy. Thing is, Boots Riley, I love him, but a lot of his stuff kind of is really absurd, leans right into sci-fi. I think kind of like other things I mentioned, it's gotta be a real, hitter for it to get in. However, the cast is really stacked, so, maybe, but he really leans into, these sci-fi concepts and, just absurd, political absurdism. So we'll see. The Mastermind, another one some of y'all probably want me to put higher because it's written and directed by Kelly Reichardt. Again, got a good cast. Josh O'Connor, Alana Haim, John Magaro. Being described as a crime drama, and I believe Mubi has it. I'm excited for it, but, similarly, Kelly Reichardt's not a director you want to go for until you know it's safe to do, and that's never happened. I have no reason at this moment to believe The Mastermind will be different, but I do see where people's heads are at. Fiori, directed by Mario Mortone, is an Italian-language drama about a writer who ends up in prison for a crazy and unexpected act, that's the plot synopsis, where she meets with some young inmates. Once out, the writer and the other women maintain their friendship and an authentic bond that no one else will be able to understand. Sounds really baity in a way. Sounds like something that, Oscar could go for, maybe an international nomination, but again, I have no reason to believe this is going to be anything. The untitled Christy Martin biopic about the boxer who I believe tried or maybe was successful in killing her husband. Sydney Sweeney is in the lead role. This feels like just a vehicle for her, not much else. The Lost Bus is directed by Paul Greengrass, stars Matthew McConaughey and America Ferrera. You ever just read a synopsis and just go, nope? Bus driver Kevin McKay and school teacher Mary Ludwig navigates a bus full of children through a deadly wildfire as the town of Paradise is caught in destruction and chaos. I had it much lower until someone pointed out that it could be timely with the Los Angeles wildfires. I guess that's true, but it's being dumped on Apple. I can tell right now this looks like this feels like nothing. Disappearance, a new film from Kirill Serebrennikov. Again, he's not a director you want to go for until you have proof. It is going to go to Cannes, so again, we'll probably find out soon. But again, Serebrennikov is not someone you typically want to predict. Although I like the plot of this one. It's about a Nazi doctor who escaped when World War II ended, and then he had to live his life dealing with his crime. So I'm excited to see it. I just don't, I don't think. Well, that's caught some people's eyes and make people think it might be like a fucking Anatomy of a Fall situation is the doctor says I'll be alright, but I'm feeling blue. I believe Mubi has it. It's a German language film directed by Masha Shalinsky. Not really a name. I don't have, again, no real reason for me to say this is anything, but I'm excited to see it. I'm curious. Mickey 17, we all know that's not happening. We've seen it. I love it, but nope. Audiences aren't vibing with it. This is a tech nom at best. Anemone, what's kind of like the Christy Martin one, really is just an acting vehicle. This is directed and co-written by Ronan Day-Lewis and is co-written and starring Daniel Day-Lewis. The big thing going for this movie is obviously the return of Daniel Day-Lewis, who will probably be up for the nomination, but there's no reason to believe that Ronan Day-Lewis can do anything. The only thing going for this movie is that Daniel Day-Lewis is in it. It's been described as a drama. Family bonds between fathers, sons, and brothers are explored as complex, Relationships unfold through personal journeys and generational conflicts. That doesn't give me anything. Samantha Morton and Sean Bean are also in it. I don't know. Good Fortune, the debut of Aziz Ansari. Got a good cast. Got Keanu Reeves, Seth Rogen, Keke Palmer, Sandra Oh, Aziz himself. Lionsgate's got it. Initially, I was like, well, guys, hold on. Aziz Ansari, anyone who's seen Master of None knows this guy's got a cinephile eye. This guy's like a good writer, a good director. Then I read the plot. A well-meaning but rather inept angel named Gabriel meddles in the lives of a struggling gig worker and a wealthy capitalist. And then I went, oh man. I have heard this as like a really, really like fleshed out, like, again, this is gonna be a great movie, but like, I don't think they're gonna go with Angels, played by Keanu Reeves. At the Sea, the new film from Cornell Mundruczó, stars Amy Adams, Murray Bartlett, Brett Goldstein, Chloe East, Dan Levy, Jenny Slate, Rainn Wilson. Good cast, solid cast. Cornell Mundruczó's last movie was Pieces of a Woman, a movie I love, and you know what kind of performance you can get out of his actors. The movie itself seems like very melodramatic, like, kind of thing, and, you know, it's cast mostly like, you know, comedy guys, so I'm not looking to put this anywhere higher than, like, an actress player. The Bride, the new Maggie Gyllenhaal movie, I'm really excited for it. Christian Bale and Jesse Buckley are in it. Christian Bale playing the monster. Another Frankenstein-related movie. The existence of Del Toro's Frankenstein might single-handedly kill this movie, but I'm really excited for it. It looks fun. It looks like a fun take on The Bride of Frankenstein, and I'm really excited for it, but I just can't imagine this is going to go any further. Left-Handed Girl, directed by Shi Ching-soo. Shi Ching-soo is a freaking collaborator with Sean Baker, producing everything he made except for Anora, sadly enough. The biggest thing about this movie is that it's co-written by Sean Baker. Sean Baker is producing it, and he even edited the movie. There's no names in this movie. This is described as like a family movie, and it looks like just like a really nice sounding like family drama. I have no reason to believe this is anything, although I am excited to see it. The Wizard of the Kremlin, I don't actually know for sure this is coming out this year. It's directed by Olivier Assayas, so it probably can. Got a good cast: Paul Dano, Alicia Vikander, Zach Galifianakis, Jeffrey Wright, and then Jude Law playing Vladimir Putin. So if the movie comes out this year, Jude Law might be getting nominated. That's it. I don't think this movie's gonna be anything, although it could be a nice little finger to Russia that people might like. The collaboration, we're talking about this one again. This is the Anthony McCartan written film based on one of his plays, where Paul Bettany plays Andy Warhol and Jeremy Pope plays John Michael Besquite. We've been trying to get this out for years. Something's off with this movie. I still think this is just acting. I don't have any reason to believe this is any more than just a Paul Bettany Jeremy Pope vehicle. Toe is a new film with Rose Byrne. It's based on the true story of Amanda Ogle, a homeless Seattle woman who fought her way out of a tow company hell to reclaim her life in the car that held it all together after receiving a tow bill for $21,000. That's fucking what? I don't think this is anything. I think Rose Byrne, I didn't mention if I had legs I'd kick you, but I don't think that's anything beyond a Rose Byrne vehicle. This one just sounds like a pretty fun, crowd pleaser that goes to TIFF and nowhere else. Twinless, I've heard great things about out of Sundance. Kind of mostly for Dylan O'Brien. I heard great things, but doesn't really seem like a very Oscar-y movie, although I am really excited to see it. Sacrifice, the new film from Roman Gervais. Got a really good cast. Anya Taylor-Joy is in it. Chris Evans is in it. Charlie XCX, Salma Hayek, Sam Richardson, John Malkovich. I was kind of interested in this, being an Oscars thing. When I found out, the plot is basically about a movie star, I assume played by Chris Evans, who tries to get back into the spotlight at a charity gala that's upstaged and kidnapped by radical voters. Well, imagine Anya Taylor-Joy is part of the radicals. But it's being described as an action comedy, and I go, oh. Yeah, I'm not really looking into this anymore, to be honest, although I am excited. Caught Stealing, the new Darren Aronofsky movie. Some of you probably thought I have it higher. It's coming out in August, so that right there is uh-oh. Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz, Regina King, Matt Smith, Liev Schreiber, good cast. I just, don't know what mode Darren Aronofsky's in, and the fact that it comes out in August kind of tells me that it's not a mode that's trying for anything, although I could be completely wrong. I could be completely off base with this one. The Running Man, the new film from Edgar Wright, my most anticipated movie of the year, based on the Stephen King book and the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I mean, you're talking about an action sci-fi movie with Glenn Powell, great cast, by the way. Glenn Powell, Josh Brolin, Michael Cera, Emilia Jones, Coleman Domingo, Katie O'Brien, great cast. But this feels like text only. It's got sci-fi and shit. No. An Affair, directed by Arnaud Desplechin. The plot synopsis is Matthias, a virtuoso pianist, lives in a possible love story. I don't know what that entails. I guess we'll find out when it inevitably goes to Cannes. Father, Mother, Sister, Brother. Great cast: Vicky Krieps, Kate Blanchett, Adam Driver. Written and directed by Jim Jarmusch. It looks interesting, but Jim Jarmusch is not a director you want to go with. Next up, we got Whitney Springs, directed by Trey Parker. I'm very excited for this movie. It stars Chloe East and Kendrick Lamar. Dude, Drake, buddy, how you doing, buddy? How you doing, Drake? That's a very interesting and theoretically, like, topical plot about a black man interning as a slave reenactor at a museum who finds out his white girlfriend ancestors owned his ancestors. I mean, I'm a huge South Park fan. I know that Trey Parker, knows how to do these things, but not in an Oscar-y way. It's very much going to be silly, I feel like, but I can't wait. In The Hand of Dante, the new Julian Schnabel movie with a really interesting cast. Oscar Isaac, okay. Gal Gadot, wow. Jason Momoa, okay. Martin Scorsese, what? This looks very interesting again, but, like, there's no fucking way they're going with this. This looks like some dark shit, man. Alpha, the new Julia Ducournau movie. I know people are, like, going, The Substance. Now, to be fair, nothing is, like, there's nothing saying that it's a body horror movie. In fact, most of them are saying it's a drama. And it's just a Tahar Rahim, so that's something. Emma Mackey's in it? Oh, shit. This plot synopsis. In the late 1980s, a teenager starts getting rejected by her classmate because of a rumor spreading that she's been infected with a new disease. So there's definitely going to be some, horror aspect to it. Julia Ducournau and Corley Farshad's, like, sensibility is just completely different. I think comparing it to Substance is ridiculous. And otherwise, I think there's no reason to predict Alpha. I Want Your Sex, a new Greg Araki movie with Olivia Wilde, Cooper Hoffman. Charlie XCX is also in it. Never thought I'd be mentioning Charlie XCX twice. I'm excited for it, but like I said, erotic thriller. You don't predict those. It looks like another baby girl. Hope is written and directed by Na Hong Jin, and it's got a really good cast. That's the big thing. It's got a good cast. It's got some Korean actors, and it's in Korean. However, Ho Yun is in it, Alicia Vikander's in it, Michael Fassbender's in it, Taylor Russell's in it. It's the only real reason I'm taking this seriously. Otherwise, like, it's being called an action sci-fi. So next, Long Day's Journey into Night. Remember that one? Did you know it's already fucking premiered? Yeah, it premiered to, like, good reviews, but, like, it premiered and nobody cares. This poor movie. Maybe it goes to the fall festivals and gets a new life, but I don't think Jessica Lange's even getting into this great. Eden, I've seen it. The answer is no, but I don't know. If things are good, Anne de Armas would get some buzz, because she is fantastic. The movie's not very well received, even though I don't think it's really good. And it's, like, story is pretty, like, survivor thriller-y. Couture, the new film from Alice Wincourt. Angelina Jolie stars as an American filmmaker, goes to Paris for Fashion Week. I don't really see this as being much. The actor is directed by Duke Johnson. This is another one we thought was coming out last year. This one has Audrey Holland. It's a very Charlie Kaufman-esque movie. I believe he's producer on it. I mean, it's like being, like, dumped this week. Like, barely anyone can go see it. Like, I don't know what we're dealing with, but it doesn't sound very good, which is disappointing because I'm really excited for it. Hurry Up Tomorrow. There's not even a plot detail for this movie. Troy Edward Schultz is directing and writing it alongside The Weeknd, and it's got a good cast. Other than the fact that The Weeknd's in it, Jenna Ortega and Barry Keoghan are in it, but it's like a companion piece to his album. The trailer just made me go, hell nah. The Outcome is directed and written by Jonah Hill. Cast is like whatever, Keanu Reeves, Jonah Hill, Cameron Diaz, Matt Bomer. It's being distributed by Apple. It's a drama comedy, and I do like its plot. A damaged Hollywood star must confront his demons and make amends after he's extorted with a mysterious video clip from his past. There's something there, but Jonah Hill, no. Housemaid, the Paul Feig movie with Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried. Psychological thriller, nah. Speaking of Sydney Sweeney, Echo Valley sounds like an Apple thriller with Julianne Moore. I think Ridley Scott's the producer, is the only reason I actually put it in the first place. Reeling from a personal tragedy, Kate spends her days boarding and training horses at Echo Valley, name of the movie. Late one night, her wayward daughter, Claire, arrives at her doorstep, frightened, trembling, and covered in someone else's blood. No. Kiss of the Spider Woman. We premiered at Sundance. Jennifer Lopez got, like, Oscar buzz for, like, 2 days and then never again. Hell nah, I heard it's not that good. Play Dirty, a movie I'm really excited for, the new film from Shane Black, starring Mark Wahlberg and Lakeith Stanfield. It looks like a crime thriller. I'm excited, but I'd be surprised. And then finally, last one I had is Animal Farm. It's based on the Orwell book, so that's the only thing that's making me go, okay, hold on now. It's being directed by Andy Serkis and stars him and Kieran Culkin, but it is an animated fantasy movie. The only reason there's something there, perhaps, is that it's like a fucking Orwell adaptation. And that's that. I did it. Aren't you happy? I'm gonna go hibernate now for like 2 days before I have to do something else. Let's grab and share, and don't come. If I'm wrong about one thing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. It's not fair.